Howdy folks, welcome to Beaver Mountain Works, and this segment here that we're talking about is going to be about hand sewing. I've got a pancake holster here that I'm in the middle of producing, and if you were to take a look here up close, you can see that I've already produced all the holes and I've put my thread gorge through it, so that way the thread, when we pull it, it will tighten up and drop below pretty close to even with the surface of the leather. And the reason for that, so that we have less wear and also it's nice and tight. So we're going to take our stitching pony here, our stitching tree. Some people have different names for them. This particular unit here that you see is the basic unit here that I picked up many years ago, and I just took a stool and I set up a workstation on it. Here I've taken just regular scrap leather and I made loops, and I have here a stitch awl here which has an angle on it, so it's easier to go in and bend to line up your holes. It's removable, so I can change the actual needle on the end. Got a pair of pliers in case I have difficulty pulling the needle through or thread. A pair of scissors, so that way I can trim if I need to. And a straight awl, a nice sharp one, so I can penetrate and enlarge the holes when I'm putting them through. A lot of my hand sewing, I already pre-make all my holes. It makes it go quicker and you get a better even look. But sometimes if it's thinner leather, I'll actually puncture the hole while I'm actually threading it through. The thicker stuff, it's a little more difficult. Also, there's a piece of beeswax, and I have some magnets here with some different needles on them. So, and the magnets just hold it in place. And you take your work that you're looking to work on, and you want to get it in a comfortable position. So I have this system set up that my stool locks in where my feet will lock down on the bottom. Usually take off my sandals or shoes. I like to lock it in the base here and pull my work into me, but then I can push it in and out as I wish. And it's all about being comfortable. You want to have good lighting. In order to make this video, we have to move over to this side because the lighting on the other side of our shop isn't the best for doing videos. We're hoping to improve on this system, but for now this is the way it is. You would place it into your pony, and you want to make sure that you have some type of leather at the top, so that way you don't have any marring from the wood onto your actual product. You want to have leather on leather. So that's very important. So if you make one of these, make sure you put some type of leather in here as an extra keeper of the vise. It keeps the marring down on the leather. So you slide it in, and you want the work to be as close that you're going to be working on to the jaws as possible. Pinch it down. I have an adjustment screw here on the side, as you can see here, a wing nut, and it goes easily in and out, and it puts pressure on and makes this so it doesn't move around the piece. You lock it in place, and that's pretty much where that's at. Here I have to put my second set of eyes on here. I grab a needle. Now, you'll notice in a lot of books you read or people talk to you about needles, a lot of people will put it in and then they lock it back in this way. They'll slip it back in here and they lock it in, then they pull it all the way up, and they either do it from one side, this side, or that side, and it locks it in, and they say it keeps the thread from pulling out. Well, the problem with that is once you've set up the amount of lace that you want in your thread, if you keep going back and forth, you begin to mar that area that's here. So what I do is I have a tendency of shifting it every once in a while, so that way I'm not going to have a breakage, a weak point in one spot. So I keep my needles floating, but that's my personal preference. You'd find an area that you want to start with, and this particular area here on this holster, this is the base. This is where the muzzle will come through, and the actual top portion becoming the pistol will be going in this way with the handle, the pistol grip like this, in this direction here. So at this area here, I don't mind at the bottom to do my start, and usually I come in about 3 holes in, and I run my first thread in to place my other needle on now as well, because I do a 2-needle system. I find that the 2-needle system works really well because it locks in your project. A lot of people will try to go and use a full length of thread to go the entire route. I have a tendency of going to a certain point where I believe that it's not so noticeable, and then I will backtrack, and then I will begin again with a brand new one in the last hole used, and continue on, so I don't have so much thread to have to operate. Once you begin, you just go through one side, pull it down, and what you want to do is, if you come around here on the side here and you take a look, see, I just came through this one here, and I want to pull it down and grab both of these and pull them in a downward position, so that way when I put my needle into the hole, I'm not grabbing onto the thread that I put through already. I'm actually between the leather and the thread, so when it comes through it goes like this. And then when I have it, I make sure this first set is pretty close to being even. You can adjust it by just pulling on one side, a little bit of an adjustment. You want to be approximately even. It's not perfect. This is where the little trick comes in, where you can take your fingers, you pull it around. You don't have to pull really hard, but you pull just enough to watch the actual thread. And if you can come closer, it might be hard to see on video, but you can see how the thread is dropped down below the line of the actual leather on the top piece of the leather, and it's countersunk itself in. And that's just enough pressure to pull it in. And then you continue on. You bring the next one in. And some people tell you you've got to hang on to the needles at all times. But sometimes I'll get to a point, and I like to do something a little bit different, because I just feel the pulling of it, or I need my other hand. I'll drop a needle, and the needle stays there, and then you can go ahead and maybe, for some reason, I had to come in from this side instead of for the other side. Cramp in my hand or anything like that. You have some leather workers that tell you that to be the mark of a professional is to have both needles in the hands at the same time. Come on, let's get realistic, people. We're all humans, and we all have different techniques, and I can give you the basics here as you can see me doing this, and that's what it is. It's the basics to understanding about hand sewing. The very unique thing about this hand sewing that I like the most, and you saw that just puff out there, there was a little puff out. It had puffed out as I was pulling through. I hope it showed up on the video. What had happened was I didn't pull down far enough, so when I came through I caught a little bit of the other thread, and that's what would happen if you don't pull them down. I reiterate what I was saying here. When I put it through the hole here, and I bring it all the way through, I tug on it and drop it down, take my other thread for the opposite way, and I make sure I go between the leather and the actual twine itself. But what I'd done on the other one is I'd accidentally not pulled enough, so I caught just a little edge of it. Now it doesn't want to catch. Let me see if I can get that. And when I caught it, it came out like this. As I pulled through, it pops through like this. And because it caught like that in there, what happens is if I was to pull really hard here, it'd be hard to countersink the other one. So to compensate, you just pull a little bit on here, just a little bit of pressure, not much, about a pound, and then you counter with this and you even it out, and then you have a nice even tug both ways. And then it makes everything nicely seat in, nice and tight and snug. The great advantage of hand sewing versus if we're doing machine sewing. Machine sewing does a J stitch, so you have the needle coming down and it grabs a hold of the bobbin and it makes this J. It's like this, and it grabs it. This is a continuous, your bobbin is a continuous thread, but your upper one comes down like a J, hooks onto it, pulls it up, whips it around, and then continuously grabs it. So it's always grabbing the bottom all the time. It's doing this all the way. So if you were to break by accident one of the stitches, you could then grab that and you can just pull. You probably remember that when you're a young one and you caught a little strand coming out of your pajamas and you went, shh, and your mom said, yo, what you doing there? Now I got to stitch that all back up again. That's what happens. So with this, if you were to break one, because they're going in and out of each other like this, back and forth, they're weaving in and out. If you were to break one, just that one strand may move back one or two. but it won't continuously come back. If you pull on it, you have to really work at making it come apart. So if you're doing equipment and gear and personal items like bags and holsters or belts, clothing, and you want to make sure that they're real durable in those areas that you're concerned about, that durability of it, and the integrity of it, you want to do a hand stitch so that way the strength is there as well. So I hope these hints have helped you out a little. Oh, I do also want to mention, I was going to mention about how using this particular type and all. If I'm going through and I can't seem to get the hole, I'm using the needle here and I can't, for some reason my holes just don't line up right, I can take this particular type and put it in and spin it until it actually catches the other part, and then I can push it through and it will line the two holes up enough that I can get the stitch through. You can see the advantage of having the tools right here available. Maybe you like yours out further. I found that if mine were out, I end up catching things with my thread. Because when I start doing it, I go fairly quick. So, and when you're buzzing along doing this, you can be talking, you can be having friends over, and they can watch you make fantastic gear, and they wish, and then they hire you to do it for them. Or you could be watching your favorite soap opera. You know, mine was All My Children when I was younger. No, I have my favorite shows that I like to watch, and I can see those and pay a little of attention up there at the same time. I snug this in and just continue going. So I hope this has helped you guys and given you an insight on hand sewing, how easy it is. It's not difficult. It's just about prepping and taking your time to make sure you learn your technique. Once you have your technique, the sky's the limit.